Hello everyone, it's Valorant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, another week, another support card in Uma that'll be dropping, and for this week we have Seeking the Pearl that'll be dropping, alongside the support cards, SR KS Miracle Guts, as well as the SSR Power Daiichi Ruby. So like all my videos, we'll first take a look at the support cards here that'll be coming out, and then we'll take a deep dive into the Uma, and whether or not you're going to want to pull over them. And so first, looking at the SR card here, we have the Chaos Miracle Guts card. Now, SRs, as time keeps going on, unless you're a new player, they are becoming more and more irrelevant, primarily only being used really right now for independent training for a lot of people if you've been playing since day one. Now, coming in with Chaos Miracle Guts, there will be an SSR version coming out that'll be quite good here in the near future. But sadly, the SR version's not all that good. I mean, primarily because the SSR, the reason you're going to want it is for the neck and neck gold hint on it. This one, I mean, it's a gut stat stick, pretty much irrelevant in Grand Live. The biggest thing you're going to probably see is going to either be a power or a stamina card, depending on very specific builds. Coming up with this current mile, Daiichi Ruby, when you look at her, she's actually a power card you'll probably want to bring if you're going with a backliner. All around, just kind of your typical guts card. I wouldn't say anything all that crazy. There's a lot better options when it comes to independent training. She kind of has a mixture of speed, or not speed, sprint, mile, and pace chaser hints on her. The biggest thing is light as a feather that she has built in. It's an SR card. You're not going to pull over her. Nothing crazy here. When it comes to the SSR card, this one's a little bit more interesting, especially if you're a decent spender and been quite lucky in the last benders, or if you're a whale in that capacity, in that this is a very good power card that you may see used as kind of your flex card, primarily for the gold skill it has. Nice thing with it, it is a front-loaded card. You primarily get everything you want right off the bat in it. You will want Limit Break 1 at a minimum to get the skill point bonus. Training effectiveness stays at 5% all the way to MLB, coming all the way from 0 limit break, so nothing really changes there. Biggest thing being special priority that goes up. Not too important on the power card side of things. If you're bringing her, it's for a high roll, and you still want to be hitting speed and wit a lot, kind of back and forth on those. You'll primarily get your power off the speed hits. And this is more of a miler card, which you'll see here in a second. So, to me, not that important that there's a lot more special priorities you go, special priorities you move through it. I'd say the biggest thing maybe would be your initial friendship. Getting it all at the 35 would be really, really nice, but absolutely not necessary. I mean, we're already having to live with like fine motion in those kinds of cards with really low initial friendship, so this isn't too bad. Plus, it's a power card. You're getting the rainbows in Grand Live, primarily on your speed and wit hits, hopefully back and forth. Although the occasional power hit wouldn't be bad with her. Now, this is, like I said, this is already pretty good. Initial power, always good. Initial or friendship bonus, like all this stuff is related to hitting power primarily, and so not nearly as important. What you would be getting this card for is going to be the skills themselves. Very good on just a little bit of late surger stuff in here. Also can be used as a debuff card for building up debuffs if you are still going to continue working on them from this point forward. Mediums are always going to be generally debuff heavy. And building, eventually, if you really like your debuffers, you want to build parent debuffers, which you could theoretically use this for. But, I mean, the main reason you would be getting her is for her gold skill down here flashed forward. Going to be our first occurrence of actually getting this. You may have already seen this in use in the prior sprint, which was Leap Forward, that people are using on their late surgers. Very, very strong skill. She's got the gold version of it. And as you can see here, no, we're not going to see it until Guts Vodka, which I'm pretty sure comes out quite a ways away from now, and it's not meta anyway, as well as Durandal Wit. So this is going to be your main way to get it for the sprints and miles for your backliners. If you remember from the last sprint we did, this was a very good white to try and get on your backliners. For that gamble acceleration, this is the 0.4 version of it, while Leap Forward was a 0.2. Going to be very, very useful in this upcoming CM, and this will be your borrow card if you want to build your late surger or end closer. So like Christmas Ogre Cap is going to really want this if you build that strong end closer for it. Just for having another acceleration to pair alongside her own alt will be very strong in that respect. Now, you can randomly get late surger corners as well for your late surgers in the first one. On sprints, you got sprinting gear there, and then flash forward. Nothing really else too much to talk about this card. I mean, you're getting it for the gold, not the stat stick. It's basically, I wouldn't say mandatory, but you're absolutely going to want it when it comes to building your aces if you're doing a backliner on a mile or a sprint. And you will see that if you look at like Henry Handsome's guide or anyone else that makes guides, you're going to see her on your lates and end closers card to borrow in typical like whale or even standard deck fashion, as most people should actually have these other decks if you've been playing since day one, like Fine Motion, Mr. CB, Nature, Light Hello, Summer Mighty Zensky, Agnes Tachyon. The rest of the deck is pretty straightforward in these, so this is a very easy borrow for a lot of builds. So, pretty easy skip on that side of things. And potential card that you could use your selector on coming into the second anniversary. We will have the paid selectors, so you can always just use the free one plus one paid one. You can just top right up to Limit Break 1 for that. So absolutely an easy skip in my opinion right now, but a very good card. Now when it comes to the Uma coming out, we do have Seeking the Pearl. This is one I've kind of been talking about. She is a pretty good meta Uma, has a decent inherit, but nothing crazy special on her on that respect. But she will be one that gets even stronger once we get evolutions, which we'll see here in a second. So when it comes to your stat bonuses, we have 10% speed, 20% wit. I like seeing the 20% wit. Just makes it a lot easier to hit those caps. I mean, I'd rather this be power, though. I just like having power bonuses so I can really go hard on the speed hits, especially in Grand Live now, where you can bring 3 speed cards. But it's by no means, it does make it a little bit easier. It does make it easier to go with that high roll deck where maybe you bring 2 speed, 2 wit, and then you have your flex card of a power card with Daiichi Ruby. Although you also have stamina cards for the longs, but she's not really a long one. She's a short and medium Uma herself. Which, as you can see here on the aptitudes, she's Turf A, Short A, Mile A, Medium E, which kind of sucks, Long G. So not the best when it comes to doing full-on dirt rotation in that respect. Also, she's A in base, pace and late, making it a little bit harder to kind of hit the right stat points. Although she can pretty much play any position, and she is Dirt F. So if you've really been working on your dirt rotations, you should be able to kind of build her into it. You just need to kind of have that mixture of a dirt with mediums or potentials. But by no means not the easiest to build, especially having already pace and late here. And you're pretty much going to have to sacrifice 50% of the long races when it comes to having to run the long ones. You can win them with independent training. It's just you're going to lose a good chunk of them. Then getting down to her unique here called I'm Possible. Increase the velocity when positioned second or later within 4 lengths of the lead, with 200 meters remaining. If within 2 lengths, increase velocity greatly instead. So she is got a greatly built in, but also a 0.35. The only thing is it's a lot more conditional. Depending on you have to be within certain lengths to trigger it. And so, to me, when it comes to these kind of like these 300, like your other variations of Triumphant Pulse, there's a lot of support, or there's a lot of Umas that actually have better or easier to hit conditions. Like this one, second or later, 4 lengths. Like it's got more conditions than say like Fuji Kisakis or even Ogre Caps, Triumphant Pulse, and those. So I mean, and she's a little bit harder to get in dirt rotation. So by no means, it's a good ult. Like it's not a bad ult per se, but it's good for her in my opinion. And I wouldn't really focus on trying it unless you're like going all in on 4 unique inherits, making her one of them to carry into them. But it does have 0.45 attached to it. That is inheritable, but it does still have to meet. We have innate skills, firm conditions, sprint straightaways, unyielding spirit. And then on the awakening skills, light as a feather, head on built in, which is really nice. And then she has shocking flash and big sisterly. Now, initially coming out with her, it's kind of a split. You have sprint and mile. I was actually hoping we were going to get evolutions early, which we'll look at here in a second for her. And that is because the evolutions actually make them both work on sprint and miles. So she basically can do sprint or miles with both of her golds once she gets evolutions. For now, they're kind of split between the two, so she's only really got one usable gold, depending on which track you're running on. Of course, the upcoming one being a sprint, you will only be able to use a big sisterly here. But it is nice, she does have head-on built in. And she also has Umamusume built in here as well in her events. And then we kind of just taking a look at the evolutions here now. So like you can look at Shocking Flash. Originally was a sprint that was a 3-second 0.35. It evolves it to being a 3-second 0.35, but then adds a current speed increase to it, so it makes it even better, as well as making it now work on both sprint or mile. And then you have the big sisterly, which was originally a 0.35 or 2.4 seconds, now lasts 4 seconds, and of course works on sprint and miles. So really good skills for both of them. Very important Uma in the future, and she will be meta on some of the tracks. But now, with regards to whether or not you might want to pulver her, kind of looking at everything we have around here, I mean, Grand Live, to me, is like the scenario for most people where you can really save carrots. I feel like Seeking the Pearl is a good pickup, but there's a lot of Umas within Grand Live that I think are good pickups, but also very easily skippable. And if you're free to play and you're really hurting on carrots right now, that might be something you want to do, because we do have at the end of the scenario the next really big, strong Wit card, Major Romanu. You probably have heard about her a million times. But looking at what we kind of have around her, there's a lot of situationally good, and I will call them like dolphin support cards or even whale support cards if you want to spend a good chunk of money. I'm trying to be ahead of the curve. Like we have coming up here. We have Daitako Helios Speed, Major Palmer Stamina. To me, very good but very whaley cards. You have the rerun of Fine Motion, Maduzensky Speed. You have the rerun of Seeking the Pearl and Daiichi Ruby. I don't expect this to happen. They hopefully won't have the problem with Wit and JP where they ended the banner early. So don't expect this. Don't think that you can just wait until this banner, or they do a banner like this one. I assume it's not going to happen. Simply Chris S for your late surgers on the support card sightings. When it comes to Umas, though, other Umas you might want to look at. Aston Machan. I would actually put Aston Machan above Seeking the Pearl. Very good sprinter overall herself, and a good inherit for sprints. While Seeking the Pearl is more of the good ace herself than me. And I know Aston Machan is also an Oshi for a lot of people, and overall pretty good on that one. To me, I also like this festival banner with Tamamo Cross and RE1, although that one's pretty easily skippable, but they're both fairly decent if they're either one of them are Oshis. Or you're really wanting to get an RE1 now for full dirt rotations, although I personally would want to get the original off selector. She can work for that, though, making it a lot easier. Another whaley one with Ugly Cap and Muteki Guts. Then you have the Super Creek banner, which if you do not have like the Super Creek, this is like the big one you should be saving up for now to top up and hopefully MLB Super Creek. And then after this point, if you're broke, just hard saving to Major Romanu. But this one's a big one. You have Daiwa Scarlet Christmas, another kind of long front runner. Uma, Narita Brian Blaze. Like there's a lot of just random, skippable but good niche Umas for different things. Ida-san Black New Year's she's really good on the mediums. So don't feel like you have to pull for Seeking the Pearl unless she is an Oshi. Or you're a spender like me, and you're just like, I'm going to pick up all these niche Umas, and then if I have to, I will spend money to top up a Major Romanu when she drops. But that's going to be pretty much it on Seeking the Pearl and kind of my thoughts. Just kind of plan out your carrots. I always like I showed earlier in other videos as well, I like using Henry Handsome's carrot calculator here. Really gives you an idea, too, of the upcoming CMs and what Umas were good on them. Like, the one I currently have up is the one that the League of Heroes where Seeking the Pearl will be, like, really good. The one is, I believe, the Sprint, yeah. And if you're one of those people who wants to shoot for, like, top ranks in one of the League of Heroes coming up, this is where you can find an Uma that's, like, super meta for it, potentially. Seeking the Pearl being one of them. Knowing that you want to pick her up here. And, but also you can plan out the pulls, depending on how much you're willing to spend, and the carrots you'll accumulate over time. Grand Live is a really good one to really ultimately plan through, because so much of everything is skippable, but there is a lot of, like, decent stuff in there. It's just decent but skippable, if that makes sense. But that's kind of my thoughts right now on whether or not you want to pull for Seeking the Pearl or Daiichi Ruby Power Support card. And if you like my content, if you'd like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.